I just am picking 4 songs to sing, and they're all songs that I felt like were relevant to this season right now in some way for me, and hopefully for you in some way, and hopefully you will feel encouraged by the end of it. So anyway, I'm going to start off with a song called Morning, and I first was inspired to write the song. Somebody, and I can't remember who it was now, so if it was you, tell me, but somebody in my life said, I have to learn morning every day. And I kind of just grabbed a hold of that and thought on that. And I think, especially right now, that feels very poignant. Waking up and feeling like your day is going to be the same. For me, that's at least how it's felt. Waking up knowing I'm going to have a million children in my house and homeschool and make 1,000 meals and all of that. And so just knowing that when I wake up in the morning has sometimes felt hard, like, oh, not this again kind of thing. So anyway, that's kind of the feeling of the morning some days. And I think that the encouragement is that there are new things available. There is a freshness available. There are new mercies available. All of that is true of every morning, of every day. And it's whether or not we choose to grab a hold of that. So here we are, and here is Morning. I have to learn the goodness of morning every day. I'm not sure if new mercies really take. The sun is almost too bright and I squint to come awake. I have to relearn morning every day. To get rid of yesterday, to stop monotonous replay. It's almost too hard. I'd rather forfeit to my mistakes, but to really see my life and to really come alive, I have to learn morning every day. I have to learn the goodness of morning every day. I'm not sure if new mercies. I'm going to do a few more songs. So if you're just tuning in, I have a few more. And this next one is a song that I wrote a few years ago. It was inspired from the story in Exodus where the Israelites are in battle, and when Moses' arms are raised up, then the Israelites are winning. When they are down, then the Israelites are not winning. And so Aaron and Hur came to raise his arms up so that the battle could be won. And so that's kind of the story behind it. But the real life in my own experience behind it is just the way that throughout my whole life, I hope that the emotions aren't going to happen on Instagram Live, but maybe they will, is that like all through my life, I've had people that have held my arms up, even to the point of this moment. So, and many of you are watching. So, I would say that has been a hard part about this season. Not being able to be with my friends, my family, in real life, in person, to hug them, to touch them. I am highly extroverted, and I would say post-motherhood, there was a little bit of a shift in that. Like, I recognize the fruit of being alone, and I do gain energy from that. But I love to be with people, and so that has been a hard part of the season. But things like Marco Polo, and texting and phone calls and all of that have been so good for me. And obviously they're not a replacement for being with people in person, but they have been a help. So anyway, this song is just kind of a big, like, thank you and realization to all of the people in my life throughout my whole life that have held my arms up. So we'll see if I can sing it without crying, but anyway, this is called Holding My Arms Up, and I do need my lyrics, so here we go. You stay later than planned. You push me to stand. Your words give me life when I'm heavy. And you add water to sand with your steady hands. You make the ground firm beneath my feet. You're holding my arms up until the war is done. Holding my arms up to the evening sun. Holding my arms up until the battle's won. That's what you do for me. You find me where I am, and you lift my head, and you pull me along to where I can't see. You add your tears to mine, and you give me time, but you rush in with joy when I'm ready, and you're holding my arms up until the war is done. Holding my arms up until the evening sun. Holding my arms up until the battle's won. That's what you do for me. You are the arms of Jesus when I feel I'm drowning. You are the words of Jesus when I'm forgetting. You are the grace of Jesus when I'm unforgiving. And you are the love, Jesus. You're holding my arms up until the war is done. Holding my arms up until the evening sun. There it is. Okay. Sorry about, well, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry about the emotions, but there they are. So this next song, I have two more. So, I feel like, the quarantine has brought lots of things out of me, and probably you feel the same. I would say I've been very aware, probably most of my life, but especially these last like 3-4 years, of my relationship with anger. And we all have some sort of relationship with anger, whether or not we realize it. But some of us are very, it's a very accessible emotion. It is a comfortable emotion. It is kind of on the surface, and it feels fine to let it out. And for some of us, anger is almost non-existent, like it's not something that we ever tap into, and we kind of would say, I'm not angry ever. And then some of us are like shoving our anger down, and then it will like explode on people randomly. So, and that latter one is more my brand of anger. So, oftentimes I will push things down that are frustrating, just because I want to fix it, or I want to kind of change how I'm viewing something, and I want to make it right. And so I shove it down. And then what usually happens is I overflow and my anger comes out, and it usually comes out at the person that I am not angry at, or the situation that really isn't that big of a deal. So, so that's kind of how anger is for me. And this is from January. I wrote this song in January. And I was just wanting to write a song that I felt like kind of described my relationship with anger. And the picture that I got when I was thinking through it was of me like standing over a stove and just stirring it around, almost like something that I treasure and that feels comfortable to stir around. And I just kind of keep adding things into it, stirring it around, and then at some point it boils over. So that's kind of the inspiration, the picture behind where the song is coming from. It's not all doom and gloom. We can learn things about our anger, and we can get better at it, and we can get really good at apologizing. I would say I'm pretty good at apologizing to my children, not as good at apologizing to Colt. That is the harder one. And he's laughing because it's true. No, so that takes a lot more humility. So anyway, but what I would say about it is, I have learned to try and recognize the signs that are kind of in the boiling process. And a lot of that for me is like finding when I suddenly am really kind of just on edge or easily irritated, or I kind of, sometimes I'll just get like this burst of energy, and it's not on the surface seeming like anger, but that's really at the root of it. And so if I can recognize that earlier on in the process, then a lot of times I can address it and talk through it, and then we don't get to the explosion. So anyway, that is the story behind the song, and the song is called Burn. Sorry, I have to take a drink of water. Okay. I've been stirring it around for weeks, watching the flavors mix and marry. My view up here is so clear. The weeks turn easily to years. Hovered over it like a priceless potion. One wrong move and I've lost focus. An explosion only to come after. It's finally boiled over until I just burn. Everything inside is going down. Everything built up will be ripped out when I burn. All I see is red, I'm going down. What's tied inside must come out. I feel it rising up in my body, like water just under my chin. It's a fire that asks for releasing. Only problem is I don't know how or when. Until I just burn. Everything inside is going down. Everything built up will be ripped out when I burn. so uplifting. Anger, everyone. Anyway, it is uplifting when you can name what is happening and make changes and work on yourself and work on things. So that is the encouragement for that one. Okay, so I did want to say a few things about just like me as a songwriter, my writing process, that kind of stuff. I grew up in a musical family and like started writing songs in high school, so we can use that very loosely. Wrote more in college, but kind of every year it's like I have written more as I've gone along, but always was really private about my music. There was kind of like a weird fight within myself of like, I want to share my music, but I also absolutely do not want to share it. And so that was always at war in my person. And I would say that things really started picking up just my time sitting at the piano and writing and actually finishing songs and things just kind of pouring out after I had our first child, that was in 2011. So I started writing more, and it was in the summer of 2017 that I started posting clips of things on social media, which felt very strange. And I had to like enlist my people and like, is this fine? Can I do this? And they were like, yes. And so anyway, it felt so strange and hard. And, but I've just been trying to be obedient in doing that. And because I kind of got to that point where I was just over my own excuses and tired of talking myself out of something. And, so anyway, that's kind of my songwriting journey. And, I do have one song on Spotify, so you can check that out later if you want. Hopefully one day, as children go off to school and as days are freed up and things shift, I do hope to, record some more things and do that. But anyway, that's kind of my songwriting journey. And then just in general, like my process is typically, like 99% of the time, lyrics are first and music is second. And I will either experience something or watch something happen with a friend or with a relationship, or I'll hear a story and kind of get inspired, and then the words happen, and then I sit down with the words at the piano. Which is so crazy because you're the opposite. Like, I feel like I have to know the content.
Rock and roll's got to come first.
Rock and roll has to come first, everybody. That's what he says.
Pansy lyric stuff come later.
So I have to sit down with the content at the piano to know what the music is going to be. And Colt is the opposite. So he creates the music, and then out of that comes the lyrics. So anyway, we're opposite. So that's kind of me in a nutshell of songwriting. So I have one more song, and I'll say a few things at the end, but this last song is the oldest one of the set of 4. And if you're happening to just tune in, I just feel like I need to say welcome, and this is my first time to be live, so thank you for all the grace. This last song I wrote about 5 years ago, and I would say that when I think about me as a musician, me as a songwriter, my hope and my goal is that people would hear my songs and that they would believe the truth about themselves or believe the truth about God in a new way. That's kind of it in a nutshell. Like I think we just so easily can believe lies about ourselves and believe lies about God. And so that's kind of when I think about what I would hope for people as they listen to my music. It's those things. And so this next song is, or this last song, is a song that I wrote in a time when I was really frustrated with God, and I felt like he wasn't around, and I felt like he was maybe like good overall, but not maybe good to me. I felt like he was quiet and not responsive and didn't really want good things for me. And this was part of like pushing myself forward in that process. I don't know if any of you guys follow Caroline Cobb, but she said this at one of her concerts maybe a year or so ago about singing herself forward. And this is one of those songs for me where I felt like writing it and singing it was like me singing myself forward in my own story and in my own relationship with the Lord. I feel like I had to say all of this and process all of this in order to get to the next spot. And that's kind of my encouragement in this is that is to press into those things and lean in rather than like build a wall, become cold, hard, cynical, but rather press in. And so anyway, this is just one of those like honest songs and that I was having a really hard time with what I was believing about God and his character. And so this is called Until. And thanks for joining. And I'll say a few things at the end, but here we go. You stood me up, you let me down. You're silent and you've left me here alone. I guess I hoped you'd be around, but promises seem broken and you're gone. How could I know it's you when your voice has changed so much? The tune has changed, the chords are wrong, and nothing is the way it's supposed to be. And now I sing a different song, because what I thought I heard was actually just me. How could I know it's you when your voice has changed so much? Have you turned your back? 'Cause I don't know how to take you back. And have you changed your mind? You're not the same. I don't trust you to help me. I So that's all. Thanks for coming, guys. This was really strange, and thanks for being here. I hope to do this again sometime now that I have like ripped off the Band-Aid of the live situation. Still, the technology is very scary to me, and we'll see. But anyway, hope to. Colt's like eye rolling over there. But really, 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 thank you for listening and tuning in and being alongside this strange journey that we're all on together. So it is a joy to make music by myself, and that is for sure true, but it is also part of that is sharing it, and that's part of the joy. So anyway, I hope that you feel encouraged to be honest with yourself, to be honest about what is happening right now, and honest with your own response and reactions to what's going on, and that you will press into those things rather than push them down or avoid them. So that is my charge to you and to my own self. So thanks a lot, and see you guys on the flip side.